right, cause they can't miss. All about the game, that's a cold switch. Serving up the truth, call it ruthless. Tune in and get your fix from Blake and Vish Sports.
Talk about Joe Burrow and the Vikings. You and I both think that the Vikings were going to be a playoff team this year. Pretty poor showing from them. But you and I also thought the Bengals weren't going to be very good. We were worried about this Joe Burrow situation. We were worried about Zach Taylor. The Bengals finally found a way to run the football with Joe Mixon, and they were able to do it. Joe Burrow looked terrific. Jamar Chase looked really good. You and I were saying don't overreact. His hands are his best trait. We had other questions about him that he seemed to answer. He looked explosive. He looked great. So what did you think of the Bengals' overall performance against the Vikings? And I think there's a lot to be positive about.
Oh, definitely. The fact that they have 3 receivers that all looked really, really, really good. T. Higgins obviously was a rookie last year, looked great. Jamar Chase's first game looked good. Boyd is just quietly awesome. No one talks about him, but he's also really, really good. But I thought for me, the biggest surprise was Jonah Williams and Riley Reif played great. They played amazing for tackles. Like, none of the sacks, there was 5 sacks, which I'm still definitely concerned about, but they really weren't the tackle's fault at all. The center played a tough game. That was kind of the biggest issue I thought them there. But Joe Burrow looked really good. Didn't look worried in the pocket, delivering strikes. He had to move around a little bit too because, as mentioned, the interior of the O-line wasn't always the best. And you're right, they ran the ball well, which is something we really haven't been able to say in just it feels like a couple of years since Joe Mixon's been fully healthy. But I really am – I hope this isn't just a one-off thing. Like, I don't know if you remember that Seattle Seahawks game a few years ago where Andy Dalton had like 400 yards against the Seahawks, and it looked like a new team, and then it just wasn't. But I was very impressed with Burrow, got the ball out quickly. There was only one really bad throw, I thought, the one that should have been picked, hit the Vikings defender in the head, and then Boyd caught it. That was crazy. But, yeah, he looked really solid back there and just not concerned or didn't look like someone who just came off a major injury, I guess is what I'm trying to get to.
That was my biggest takeaway because most people were saying that Joe Burrow had a pretty terrible camp, and that's what the reports are. I don't know what the Cincinnati reporters, but there was bad stuff about Burrow. Chase obviously wasn't having positivity coming his way. The only guy that was getting consistent positivity from everything I read was T. Higgins, right? It felt like T. Higgins was having an incredible camp. And so we go to week 1, and I think the Vikings are going to be a playoff team. And now I have zero expectations for Cincinnati. And I think Burrow is going to be a little bit rattling. Like you mentioned, like maybe he was less mobile. He was less willing to run around. Like a few of those sacks, I felt like old Joe Burrow would have made a play a bit earlier, moved a bit better in the pocket. But this Joe Burrow, obviously, naturally, he's recovering from a surgery. But overall, he looked like Joe Burrow. He was processing quickly. He was making great decisions. He was very accurate. I thought his arm looked stronger, which is important
it did. Yeah.
Because Joe Burrow's biggest issue to me as a quarterback is just the fact that he has a below average NFL arm. And his arm looked much stronger. Like the touchdown to Chase, that one was thrown with a ton of velocity down the field on the go ball to Chase. I thought that was a great throw. And so overall, it was a lot better than what I expected. I thought Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow both looked real good. I'm a big Joe Mixon fan. I consistently say he's a top 10 running back in the NFL, and I thought he showed out. And so overall, I was thoroughly impressed with the Bengals. Like you mentioned, Riley Reif had a good game. Jonah Williams looked like a guy that was worth the 11th overall pick. They handled Danielle Hunter and really well, and company really well. And then I thought the Bengals defense also stood out to me. They're faster and they fly around a bit more than what I expected. They played the run really well. Jesse Bates is obviously fantastic.
Oh, good.
He was good, but Von Bell was playing great. Their defensive line did generate pressure. Of course, the Vikings offensive line is horrendous, but the defense there in terms of pass blocking, but the defensive line did create pressure. I was pleasantly surprised by the overall performance by the Bengals, but I was pleasantly surprised to see that Joe Burrow looked like 85% of Joe Burrow week 1, which I did not expect given all the things I was seeing in the training camps and stuff. Like I was expecting Joe Burrow I was scared honestly that Joe Burrow might have like an RG3 type situation, where he just never fully recovers from his knee or has that confidence. But he didn't seem to have that issue at all against a team that I thought would be good week one. So
Definitely. I think that's the point too. Like me and you both went in with this expectation that the Vikings are going to have a top 10 D, maybe even better. They're bringing back so many pieces. Michael Pierce looked great, though. I will say that he had a couple sacks. He was a beast. But Danielle Hunter wasn't really like game wrecking. And I fully went into this thinking this Vikings D line's got a lot of new pieces back. I think they might wreak havoc on this Bengals O line that has struggled to protect the quarterback for the last few years. But now there was 5 sacks. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he was, not touched, but it just felt a lot better than previously where both tackles, both sides of the pocket are just absolutely collapsing. And that to me, I think was the biggest thing. And then, I don't know, man. Me personally, I was a big critic against the Chase pick. He showed out. So far, proved me wrong, although Sewell looked really good too. But maybe they didn't need the tackle after all if Williams and Reef are going to play how they did. Now, the interior guys, especially the center, that leaves a little to be seen. But, I mean, overall, like, the offense looked great. And I really think having Mixon back and healthy is just a world of different than having Gio or P. Ryan back there at all times. So hopefully that helps just having a full roster. And, did want to mention one thing too. The 4th down play that iced it to Uzomah, that was actually an audible from Burrow. And he picked that play and he called that play once they got to the line of scrimmage. So I did want to throw that out there and say that was awesome for doing that. Very savvy, very veteran. CJ Uzomah got wide open. It was a weird play at first, though. It really didn't seem like much was going on, and then he just kind of streaked open. It was like, all right, well, that's the ball game if this kicker makes it. Yeah.
And Jamal mentioned, to be fair, I'm not comparing them. I think Burrow plays from the pocket a million times better than RG3 has ever shown to in his career. Burrow is really fantastic in the pocket, especially his ability to make decisions and quick decisions and all of that is amazing. I just went more so to say that, like, in terms of an athlete losing confidence in himself just because it's a major injury and a quick turnaround. Like, nobody expected Joe Burrow to play week one when he initially got injured. He tore 3 ligaments in his knee. People were saying week 6, week 7, and then all of a sudden he comes and plays week one and he's pretty close to what Joe Burrow is, and he plays a pretty much, you mentioned one bad throw, maybe mistake-free football game.